Today's gospel is from Luke 18. It's the familiar parable that Jesus told about the tax collector and the Pharisee going up to the temple to pray. The Pharisee, it says, took up his position and spoke this prayer tellingly to himself. He's not even really talking to God. He's looking in the spiritual mirror and admiring himself, saying, "Look how wonderful I am. Oh God, I thank you I am not like the rest of humanity, greedy, dishonest, adulterous, or even like this tax collector. I fast twice a week and I pay tithes in my whole income." So that's the Pharisee. Tax collector, the account says, stood off at a distance, would not even raise his eyes to heaven, but beat his breast and prayed, "Oh God, be merciful to me, a sinner." Jesus says the latter went home justified, not the former. This parable reminds us that we come to God in humility. We come to God as sinners, that we cannot impress God, that the penances we embrace for Lent are not to impress God, to do some sort of spiritual calisthenics, to say, "Look, God, how wonderful we are." God knows us through and through. We're wonderful not because of anything we've done, but because of who God has created us to be and his presence and life within us. When we realize that, we can come to the Lord in all humility, acknowledging our sins and our weakness, knowing that we are completely dependent on him, that we are contingent creatures, I suppose it could be said philosophically, that apart from God, we literally fall into non-being, non-existence. And so how pleasing it must be to the Lord when we're so self-aware, transparent and honest with ourselves that like the tax collector, we can come to God and say, "Lord, be merciful to me. I'm a sinner. I've messed up. I'm weak. I get things wrong. I know what the right thing is, and oftentimes I don't do it." That's why the church in her great wisdom gives us both the sacrament of reconciliation, but also the penitential rite at the beginning of Mass. So how tellingly wise the church is that at the very beginning of celebrating the Eucharist, we publicly acknowledge that we are sinners. We beat our breasts like the tax collector does in this Pharisee, in the parable of today. And we acknowledge that we need God. So it seems to me the only people that Jesus could not work with, couldn't do a miracle for, were what I would call the religiously self-sufficient. Those who thought they had it all put together. Those who didn't need Jesus, who didn't need a miracle, who didn't need his forgiveness, or so they thought. They're so self-contained, so self-enclosed that not even the Son of God can break through. That's the Pharisee. I pray that this Lent may be a time of breakthrough for all of us, that God breaks open our hearts, because only in a broken heart can that mercy penetrate, transform, and ultimately save.